Welcome, creeps and creepettes, to the Cryptique Podcast. My name's Kenny. I'm here with my good friend Godden. And together we're here to watch and review every horrific and often hilarious episode of the legendary HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. And here we are. Godden, how are you?
Doing well, you know. Can't complain.
Well, that's good. Yeah, we don't want you complaining right away. Come on now. We don't want you complaining right in the beginning of the episode. Let's save those for the end.
There we go.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. We are here to talk about where are we at? We are on season 1, episode 5, Lover Come Hack to Me, which came out June 21st, 1989. In the Haunt of Fear. And you know what? Last episode was from the Haunt of Fear, if I remember correctly. And this... Okay, before we get to that, let me just say this. Spoiler warning. Okay, we are here to talk in great detail about this episode. So if you have not seen it, go watch it and come back and hear us babble about it. So anyway, this episode is very, very similar, I feel, to the previous episode. But let me first start by reading the ancient texts, inked in blood, on human flesh, on the back of the DVD box set here. Where are we at? We're Lover Come Hack to Me, episode 5. Her stocks, bonds, house. Charles loves everything about Peggy and wants to make sure their honeymoon is a night of murderous passion. But there's a family secret. Peggy never told him. Oh boy, I wonder what that secret is, Godden.
I wonder.
All right. So, like I said, this episode is I feel very similar to the previous episode in that it's kind of like a romance-ish, love-ish story, right? Kind of a, man, woman falls in love and they kind of, all kinds of craziness ensues. So, all right, right off the bat, general thoughts. What did you think about this episode? Just tip of the iceberg kind of stuff.
I thought the pacing was actually faster than I'm used to. I don't think it was much of a problem for this episode, but it did catch me off guard a little bit on how quick things were jumping. Because I actually didn't know how it was going to end or when it was going to end initially until, it ended. I'm like, oh, that was I kind of blinked and that was it. All right, that was it. You just get like 2 acts, and the third act is just them saying, "Yep, that's the ending." I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this episode either, so that's going to be 2 in a row that I'm not the biggest fan of. But we'll dig into more of that later. I want the horror and the gore and the really creepy, scary stuff. And this episode, I don't think really brought it either. Anyway, let's talk about the opening with the Crypt Keeper. So it opens up in like this like chopping block or cutting board of some sort, and there's like a big huge hunk of meat on there, and then the Crypt Keeper proceeds to just chop it with a giant cleaver. Do you think this raw hunk of meat was meant to be like a heart?
I don't think so.
I thought it might be a heart because of the fact that it's kind of a love themed episode, but it didn't look like a heart to me.
No, yeah. I think they had the budget to have a heart if they wanted to be a heart. Like, they have enough things to use for detail. I think that's just supposed to be just a slab of meat, realistically.
Yeah, just a slab of meat. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Just a slab of meat.
That's what I thought it was at first, but then given that the episode is so heavily, around love, I thought it was maybe they're trying to be a heart. So, the Crypt Keeper opens up by saying, "It's good to have you back, you horror-hungry humans," which made me think, is the Crypt Keeper not a human? He's a ghoul, right? Is he not human?
Yeah, he might be a ghoul. He's a Crypt Keeper now,
Yeah.
I mean, he's aged way more than a human should have aged, realistically. So yeah, he's probably past being a human. Yeah. He's something else now.
I always assumed that he was like a ghoul, not being human, but that was always an assumption. But this is, I feel like this is kind of, tipping his hat a little bit in calling us humans, which, would imply that he's not a human. So maybe, it's canon. Maybe he actually is some sort of a ghoul or something. Maybe. So he opens up the episode by giving us a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful tirade of alliterations. I love this intro. He says, you know by now who's here to feed your fear. It's me, the Crypt Keeper, with another flesh-creeping scream story for your shivering pleasure. I'm calling this Bite of Bitter Bile. Lover, come hack to me. And I'm going to go right out and say it. This is my Shriek of the Week. Not a pun, but I love all this alliteration. The hungry horror humans, the feed your fear, the flesh-creeping scream story for your shivering pleasure is a good one. The bite of bitter bile. I love it all. I love his alliterations here. They're really, really good. All right. And as we enter the episode, let's talk about the opening panel. We have what looks like a woman. That doesn't look like it. It is. It's a woman plunging an axe into someone lying on a bed with blood splurting out all over the place. There's a man behind her watching in horror. And there's another woman behind him with an axe, getting ready to plunge the axe into him. So he's caught in like an axe sandwich, it looks like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's watching somebody be murdered by an axe while he's about to be murdered by an axe. And who are those two women, do you think? Ooh, interesting.
Well, they look like women.
They do look like women. And both of them have a very, very big smile on their face. They're both smiling.
Oh, the hair too.
Yeah, they have similar hair. They look very similar.
A little doppelganger action.
Yeah, nice. I like the detail with the blood, by the way, and the cover. There's it's red blood spurting out, but there's a lot of like black highlights. Like it's very dark blood. I like that detail. Mm-hmm. All right, so the episode opens up on a church, out in front of a church, and there's a sign out in front that says Justice of the Peace Chapel. Charles and Peggy were just married, and they're walking out of the chapel with Aunt Edith behind them, and Aunt Edith is not happy. She says, "You'll live to regret this." And Charles says, "Why would I ever regret marrying the woman that I love?" So they're in love, and Aunt Peggy's not happy about it. So Aunt Peggy actually accuses Charles of marrying Peggy for the money. She says, "You don't love her. You love her fortune and her stocks and bonds and her real estate and the big house." Charles, of course, disagrees, but at the same time, he does so in a way that he just seems so sleazy. He just does not seem like a very likable or trustworthy person.
Yeah. Yeah, every line he gives out forward, it's just like kind of hates being there. It sounds like.
Yeah. He does give off the impression that he's not really happy to be around his wife, but when he's called out on it, of course, he says, "Oh, I love her so much. She's the love of my life." Mm-hmm. And before he gets into the car to drive off with his new wife, he tells Aunt Ethel that when they get back on their honeymoon, she should be moved out, and she should find another place to die. So they don't like each other.
Her name is Edith. You called her Ethel.
Oh, Edith. Aunt Edith. and not Aunt Ethel, Aunt Edith. Okay. Edith, Ethel, Edith. What's the difference?
Whatever, yeah. Same person.
And old person name. Okay.
Yeah, those are old-timey names, huh?
So the new married couple are off driving to their honeymoon destination, and it's a dark and stormy night. It's raining, very, very cliche. They're on their way going somewhere, and I like this moment how Peggy is kind of struggling with the map. She's looking at the map, and he asks, "Did you find where we are?" And she says, "No, I can't read maps." And he looks over with just a complete look of disgust on his face, and rips the map away from her just to read it himself. Like he just clearly is so angry about the fact that she can't read maps very well. Like if there's one thing this woman should be able to do, it's read a map, but she can't do it. So he's really upset about that.
I love that.
So they're as they're driving along, their path is blocked by a tree that's knocked down. So he has to get the tree out of the way, but of course it's dark and rainy outside, so he asks for a flashlight. He checks the glove compartment, and what should fall out but a gun? Of course, she's confused. She has no idea where this gun came from, and it goes over to Charles, and he acts confused as well, saying, I don't know where that came from. Maybe Aunt Ethel left it for us for a wedding present. So anyway, he gets the flashlight. He goes out to try to move the tree that's fallen down, but it's too big and heavy. He can't do it. But he does see that beyond the tree is like a giant old manor. When he comes back into the car, he basically says, we're going to have to turn around and go back. Like, I can't move the tree. But the keys are gone. The keys aren't in the ignition anymore. And he asks where they are. And Peggy says, well, I don't know. Maybe you took them with you. I don't know where they are. So basically, they're in a car with no keys. They can't go anywhere. They can't drive anywhere. So they agree to kind of go check out the manor and see if anybody's home. Well, nobody's home. So Charles is ready to break into the place. At this moment, Peggy knocks over a bucket and there's a key there. So they use the key. They let themselves in the manor. It's empty. It's derelict. It's basically like a dilapidated, rundown, kind of a really old place. Wallpaper's peeling off the walls. There's just dust everywhere. Everything's really old and kind of gross. At this point in the story, I feel like we kind of entered like a very ghostly, almost like a haunted house-esque type setting, right? We go from the church to the car, and now suddenly we're in this really creepy looking mansion kind of a place. Oh, I like the moment just before they go into the house. Peggy doesn't want to go inside. He says, don't you think you should carry me over the threshold? So he has to pick her up, like begrudgingly pick her up and take her over the threshold. Like everything she wants to do, he does not want to do it. He's not happy about her whatsoever.
Okay. Yeah. I guess. What is it this time?
Yeah, he's very, 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 very annoyed with everything she does. So I think Aunt Ethel?
Edith.
I think Aunt Edith was onto something about this guy.
just a smidge.
Once they're inside the house, they start roaming around, and when they go into the living room area, they notice a giant axe is above the fireplace. I like the moment where he calls it a family portrait. He says it looks like a family portrait of a mother-in-law, the great battle axe.
So dumb.
But it goes to it speaks to his this overall generalization of women, I think. He's not happy with the woman he married. He's clearly not happy with Aunt Edith, and he sees his mother-in-law as a battle axe. So he's very into the cliches of women being, obnoxious and needy and all that kind of stuff. So it does speak to his character to see the axe in that way. So at this point, they're kind of starting to dry off a bit. And in order to dry off, they take off their clothes. So he gets completely naked. He takes off all of his clothes. Peggy, at this point, sees his body and starts to kind of back away, looking very scared. And you wonder, like, has she seen, a naked man before? And, from her perspective, you see him naked. But then just above him is the fireplace, and you see the axe. So then you start to wonder, okay, well, what is she creeped out about? Is she creeped out about the naked man, or is it the axe, or is something else going on here? So I like that shot a lot. It kind of sets up quite a bit. There's a bit of foreshadowing there as well, but I do like that moment.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but yeah, that is kind of foreshadow maybe, if I were to apply that, which I can't wait to, discuss once we get to that scene.
Well, in this moment, Peggy starts to have some doubts, and she says, you really did only marry me for my money, didn't you? So she starts to doubt the love that he has for her. And that presses Charles to actually try to convince her that he does love her. So, he goes to her and embraces her and talks about how much he loves her and how much he wants to be with her. And he really, hams it up, so to speak. He takes her to the couch and they start, getting hot and heavy there. And she says, no, not here. We can't do it here. I want to do this in a bed. So that's their cue, basically, to bring it upstairs. But as they walk upstairs, there is a giant grandfather clock in this house, and it's ticking. And he says, what's up with the ticking? And she says, I like it. It makes me feel safe. So that was an interesting response, I felt. That was definitely, that definitely caught my attention. So something's going on with time here, or a ticking clock or something. As if time's counting down to something, or, something like that, something along those lines. That definitely something's going on. So then we finally get up to the bedroom, and we see that the bed there is already made. Like the bed's perfectly made. There are candles set out. At this point, Peggy goes into the bathroom to get changed, and Charles is out there lighting a bunch of candles. And when he's finished lighting all the candles, he says basically to himself, starting a perfect marriage with a perfect wife. And then it pans down to him holding the gun. So he's up to something. He definitely is up to something. He's not what he seems. He's basically what we see him as, I think. Like, it wasn't a twist finding out that he had like nefarious intentions. At this point, you're finally like, okay, it's about time we see this reveal. And then also at the same time, we're in the we get a shot in the bathroom of Peggy dressing in very sensual, sexy lingerie. She's getting her makeup on, and she comes out of the bathroom, and she's very sensual. She's very seductive. And it should be noted that up to this point, she was very bookish. She was very, very traditional and conservative. The way she wore her clothes. This is their first time having sex. She wouldn't have sex with him up until this point, until she got married. So she's very traditional, very not sexual. And then, so this is a very notable change in her demeanor. And then we get one of the most prolonged sex scenes. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was not classy. It was it's definitely in your face.
It was not a classy scene. It was very, very over the top. Like, they're like licking each other's faces, tongue out, just dragging it over all different parts of their body.
Just lusty.
Very lustful, right?
Mm.
At one point, like, he thrusts into her and then says, "Oh, you really are a virgin." Like, it's just very not tastefully done.
Yeah.
Not a romantic sex scene whatsoever. Virgin.
Yeah.
And the crescendo is a very long, probably almost as long as the sex scene itself, orgasm scene of just them shouting and yelling and screaming.
Just holding the same note until the clock, struck to midnight. It was just like...
Right. They orgasm together very loudly as the clock strikes midnight. And when the clock does strike midnight, it shatters. The face of the clock actually shatters. I'm not quite sure if it shattered because something more mystical happening, or was it just the volume of their yelling was so loud that it cracked. I don't know. I can't tell.
That's what I took it as. Just I think it's because they're just having such a passionate moment that it affected the clock.
The clock, they were yelling and screaming in such perfect harmony that resonated with the glass, and it shattered the glass in front of the clock. So after that delightful sex scene, they're lying in bed together, and she rolls over and she says, "We made a child," and she's only this big, holding up her two fingers. Right, we're super close together. Which I thought was kind of a weird line, kind of a weird thing. And the way she says it is also weird. Just a weird moment altogether. But then Charles grabs her hand, and he does something that I thought was interesting. He kisses her fingers that she was using to show how big the baby was, which is like a way of showing that he's kissing his unborn child, almost as if he's accepting it. So he kisses her fingers, and then he kisses her. So I wonder, like, with that such passionate sex scene, did he fall in love with her? Is he in love now? Clearly he was not. Clearly he didn't have pure intentions getting with her. But now it seems like he's a lot more sentimental, or at least a lot more patient with her being kind of, weird.
Maybe because, he was kind of happy. Like, it's disgusting how happy he was when he found out, she was a virgin, because he's like more ready, to like really have sex with that point. So maybe he had a change of heart, I guess.
So they go to sleep, and the very next scene, he wakes up and he's alone in bed, and he walks to the window, and he sees Peggy downstairs embracing another man very passionately.
Mm-hmm.
And she brings him inside, and we're treated to, again, another very aggressive sex scene. But this time, Charles is, kind of hiding around the corner watching from another room. And basically it's the same. It's very, very similar sex scene. Licking on different parts of the body, close-ups on body parts, and the scratching, and just the heavy breathing and the moaning. It's just very, very, very in-your-face sex scene. Very, we are HBO, and we're going to really hammer this home that we can do whatever we want. So in this moment, he backs up, and Charles backs up and says, "Oh my gosh, she never loved me either." And the fact that he says either tells me that he doesn't love her now. All right. So, but he says, "It doesn't matter. The marriage certificate is real. She's mine, and every penny she's got in the world is mine too." So at that point, his intentions are in fact revealed. He does want her just for the money. And it took this moment of him seeing her be with somebody else for him to actually admit that, even to the audience. So after their vigorous love scene on the couch, her and this unknown man, he's sleeping and she's above him, and she says, "This is the way love should always remain, but it doesn't. Time sours it. The passion cools. I'm not gonna let time spoil our love." And she reaches up above the fireplace and grabs the axe and just starts axing this man to death. Blood spurt everywhere, blood spurting into her face, into his face. And at that moment, Charles runs to grab her, but he passes right through her. So he realizes, oh my gosh, she's a ghost. Peggy leans forward to kiss the man that she just killed. And she says, "Don't you think Peggy would be a perfect name for our little girl?" And it's at that moment when Charles realizes that what he's watching is the ghost of Peggy's mother killing her husband the night Peggy was conceived. So at this point, we get like a ghost tale kind of intertwined into this love story. So at this point, we've gone full paranormal ghost story with this love story, which was definitely interesting. So the next scene is of Charles waking up from a nightmare. When he wakes up, Peggy's already awake, and she's kind of standing there in between kind of the bathroom and the bedroom, kind of standing there. And he says, "I dreamt your mother killed your father in this house on their wedding night." And she says, "That's weird. That's exactly what happened on the night I was conceived." And she pulls an axe out from the wall that she was standing next to. And she says, "And I want what my mother had, a perfect love that I can make sure time does not spoil." So both of these women are, Peggy and her mother, are both very, very preoccupied with the pureness of love and not wanting love to spoil over time. So they want to capture the passion of their marriage day and immortalize that by killing their husbands and just only having the memory of a perfect marriage be left. What do you think about that whole premise?
Honestly, I was expecting it, but it was actually kind of funny when that took place.
Yeah, that whole moment escalated quickly because he wakes up from a nightmare and then he's kind of calming himself down, tells her the dream that he had, right, about her mother killing her father, and the way she says, "That's weird. That's exactly what happened," and then she pulls the axe out, and then next thing you know, we're like in this moment. It did escalate very quickly. But I love when she says she wants to, make the love that they have together perfect. And this is the point when he confesses that, he just wanted the money. He says, "I never loved you. I just wanted your money." And then he reaches back and grabs a gun that he had on the nightstand and says, "See, I brought this to kill you. And I was going to blame it on a burglar and then take all of your money." he's pleading with her. "No, I never loved you." Like he's admitting it to her face at that point. I thought that was really funny that he would use that moment to be brutally honest, almost to like as a way to get out of what he's about to, as a way to get out of what's going to happen to him.
That whole sequence of events is just great, honestly. Just like him thinking that Peggy's cheating on him. He's like being made a cuck the same night of the honeymoon. But it's a ghost. But then it was just a dream. But it was actually what actually happened. And now he's like, no, you got it all wrong. I was like, no, you do love me. You do love me.
Right. And she's convinced that he does love her. Right. Yeah. So, and then she axes him to death. So he dies the same way that her father died. Cut to, I think, either the next day or some other day. Peggy's with her aunt. And how did that scene work out?
She comes out. And then her aunt comes up with the car and she's like, oh, I'm so glad to see you. And they hug and like, I'm so glad you called me. Just they're kind of just being like friendly and curt with each other. And then as like have their arms on each other, just trying to be like a mother, daughter, aunt, niece. They reveal like how she's like pregnant. She's like, oh yeah, I have a little baby and she's this big inside me. She's telling her aunt, like, yeah, there's going to be no more guys to worry about. But one day, for her baby, they're going to have find another guy anyways. Because then it reveals that her and her aunt, like, always have been trying to uphold this family tradition of... It just reminds me of, like, a praying mantis, right? Like the female will kill the male after coitus, as they say. So, yeah, that's just kind of what it reminds me of.
Right.
Like, just die after sex, so, yeah.
That's right, because the aunt does say, no more men, right? And then...
no more men.
Yeah, no more men. And then Peggy says, yeah, I don't need a man anymore, as she's rubbing her tummy. And then she looks down and she says, but she's going to need one someday. And the aunt says, of course she will, dear. Of course she will. So they are. This is like a very weird family tradition, like almost like you said, praying mantis. I was thinking of a Black Widow, where you get what you need from a man and then you kill him.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing that could have made this episode more grotesque is if after they killed him, they would eat the men. That would have been interesting to have like a scene of her feasting off of his body or something.
If they took it that route, yeah, that'd be funny. Just like something random.
So with that, we go back to the Crypt Keeper, and he says basically, talk about family tradition. And then he gives a warning to the bachelor saying, before you take that matrimonial plunge, open her closet door and beware of skeletons. Unless they're yours truly, of course. So with that, we end the episode, and what did you think?
I enjoyed it. The acting was really fun to watch. Charles just not liking his wife, just being sleazy and saying he does love her and all that stuff was just so funny. Like the way he was just like, taking it in. I enjoyed it, honestly. Like this could be one of those fun ones I could just show someone if I wouldn't want to show them like one of my more favorite episodes. If I just want something like, kind of simple, just even a background episode, like this will still catch people to watch it because it's just so random. But I mean, those sex scenes were definitely a little more. Yeah, that's a little too strong,
Yeah, I hear you on the acting. I like the acting as well. I thought Charles was on point with a lot of his just eye roll moments. Just he's constantly annoyed, visibly annoyed at his wife. I thought he did well with that. But I did not like this episode. It was a grind to get through. I found it really, really boring. It was too similar a theme to the previous episode being a love story. So already it's just kind of, it was different enough, I guess, but it was also similar enough for me to realize, okay, let's move on with these love stories. I felt like they substituted the gore that I really want from Tales from the Crypt. They substituted all of that with these outrageously long sex scenes. I'm more comfortable watching people be slaughtered than these long overdone sex scenes. Like it's just not interesting to me. I'd rather spend my time watching a horror show, watching horror, rather than all these, gratuitous sex scenes. They're just for some reason, I don't know what it is. I find these overdone sex scenes as being more vulgar than the death scenes in horror movies. I don't know why. It's just the way I feel. So the two very, very long overdone sex scenes were obnoxious to me. And the fact that there was a very, very short scene in the beginning at the church, a very, very short scene in the car, and a very, very short scene at the very end with Aunt Edith. Other than those very few short scenes, everything took place in this large house, and so the scenery got boring, the dynamic got boring, the sex scenes got boring. I just thought this was a really boring episode. I didn't like it. I'm more a fan of the carnage. I don't want to see these long overdone sex scenes. Even though the acting was good, I didn't like the characters. I didn't like any of the characters. It wasn't very funny. It wasn't a funny episode. There was the end, the escalation that happened really quickly. That was kind of a chuckle moment, but it wasn't funny. I mean, other episodes up to this point have had some very comedic moments, and this episode was just very, very, for how over the top it was just trying to be super straight. And this could have used a lot more levity. I don't think it was very funny. The last episode at least had multiple characters, more characters. It had the pawn shop dealer who was kind of neat. The main characters were kind of neat, and it had more like a variety of settings: the streets, the pawn shop, the penthouse, the party. This one, they were just in the house the whole time, and it just got so boring and repetitive, and I just didn't like it.
Repetitive with the back-to-back scenes.
Right, repetitive with the back-to-back sex scenes, right? So we're having sex in a house, and then we're having sex in a house, and then we're going to be in a house, and then we're going to be killing people in a house. It's got boring. Okay, it's boring.
Yeah, I think you don't like this episode, Kenny. That's what comes out.
I didn't like it. Yeah. I'm gonna give it. Well, why don't you give your score first, and then I'll give my score.
I will give it 2.5 grandfather clocks.
Oh, 2.5 grandfather clocks. I'm gonna give it 1.5 axe to the stomach. I wanted to give it a 1, to be honest with you, but I thought, you know what? There's got to be worse episodes than this. I can't give it a 1, so I give it a 1.5.
Do you think after we finish all 7 seasons and everything has been better than this, will you just drop it down to a 1 and fix everything else?
Oh, you know what? I love Tales from the Crypt, like the show a lot, but I think there are worse episodes than this. This one. I mean, so? Like you said, if I'll watch it if it's on, but I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it. There's probably some episodes out there that I would not be willing to watch, even if it was put on already.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know, but it's possible. We'll see. Maybe 1.5 is the lowest I'll go. I don't know. I'm sure there's a 1 out there.
Hopefully.
Somewhere. This is not good though. It's interesting to me that they had 3 solid episodes. And then we get followed up by 2 episodes that I think are just really boring.
Yeah, maybe they're still finding out like what they want to do, because maybe when the first 3 they put a lot of time and effort to it, and then maybe they thought that would buy them enough time to, flesh out the rest of the season, and maybe the choice of director just wasn't top notch at the time. I'm not too sure, honestly.
Yeah, I wonder if they already had all the episodes filmed when they started airing them.
Mm-hmm.
And they just picked the 3 best episodes to lead off. I don't know. Or are they filming them like a week in advance? I'm not. I would assume that they would have all, or if not most, of the episodes completely filmed and done when they start the season.
Right.
But this is a short season. It's only 6 episodes, so this is episode 5. So next time we get together, we're going to be talking about the very last episode of the season. So next week we will be on season 1, episode 6. Collection completed. If you want to follow along, make sure to watch that episode before next week, before you tune in to hear us blather on about that episode. We'd love to have you join us in the comments. So if you'd like, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think, how we're doing. Let us know what you think of the episodes coming up. We'd love to read and respond to your comments right here on the podcast. So don't be shy. Come through. And I'm also going to invite you guys to leave us a review. If you're watching or listening on Spotify or Apple, leave us a review. From what I hear, the reviews go a long way in helping out podcasts. And this is a very, very new podcast to us. So we'd like to have some support from you if possible. With that, we'll see you all next week. Until then, my name's Kenny, and you can find me on the YouTube as well as Twitch at 2 Bad About Kenny. That's TOO Bad About Kenny, as well as the number 2 Bad About Kenny. I stream on Twitch, and I do movie reviews on YouTube. Godden, how can they find you?
Nowhere. No. They can find me just gaming on Twitch occasionally. That would be Twitch. Is it .com or .tv? I forget.
.tv, I think Twitch is.
.tv, yeah. /UAPPO and then the number 6. I should just say my name upside down, realistically.
All right, everybody. Have a good week. We'll see you next week when we talk about episode 6, Collection Completed. Take care, everybody. Have a good week. We'll see you later.
Well, how was that for a scream, boys and ghouls?